Kids go to school. On the Plan and Prepare page, you'll find a plan template. It's important to know what you're going to do, what you're going to take with you, how you're going to communicate, where you're going to go, and how to get there.
One great way to prepare is to pack a go bag. Each member of your family should have their own go bag. Visit our website, mendoready.org, to get a list of items that should be in your go bag.
Gathering and organizing important documents before an emergency is an important part of preparedness. So visit mendoready.org today, where you can find a list of important documents that you should have ready near your go bag in case you have to evacuate.
Not every emergency requires people to evacuate. An emergency kit will have supplies for you to remain self-sufficient for 72 hours. Find a list of supplies for disaster kits on our website, mendoready.org.
A prepared community is a resilient community that will recover faster from disasters. So take some time today, visit our website, get yourself prepared so you can be Mendo ready.
I'd like to call the Monday, September 9th, 2024 LAFCO meeting to order and invite roll call.
Thank you. Commissioner Gonzalez?
Present.
Commissioner Horsley?
Present.
Commissioner McGordy?
Here.
Commissioner Roden? Commissioner Ward? Commissioner Kristen? Commissioner Crane?
Present.
Of note, Commissioners Kristen and Crane are immediately seated. And we have a quorum.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Chair Mulhern.
Thank you. I'm here. Okay, item number 2 is public expression. The commission welcomes participation in the LAFCO meeting. Any person may address the commission on any subject within the jurisdiction of LAFCO, which is not on the agenda. There is a 3-minute limit and no action will be taken at this meeting. If there's anybody in the room that wishes to speak on public expression, please go ahead and come forward. If there's anybody on Zoom, they can use the raise hand feature or press *9 on their telephone. Good morning.
My name is Gizmo. I am here operating in the capacity as the Mendocino Community Climate Action Advisory Consultant. And I would like to address the board on an issue with the LAFCO company as far as idling. And I'm not sure if they actually have an idling policy, but I've noticed that they're using small cylinder trucks, which we really like here in Mendocino County. But we have an issue if it's 65 degrees to 75 degrees with these trucks continually idling. They're setting cones out. And I've witnessed this personally in Lions Park in Redwood Valley. I've also witnessed it with PG&E. And so my question this morning to the board is, does the LAFCO company actually have an idling policy for their trucks? And if not, I think it's imperative that we try to follow the state idling law, which limits idling to 2 minutes. And so if these vehicles need to be idling so that the equipment operates, so there are certain equipment operates, you know, we could give a pass for that. But to have them continually idling all day long around our county while they're doing their work and their studies is unacceptable to the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Gizmo. Just for the record, LAFCO does not own or have any trucks or equipment that are associated with this board. So maybe that was a different type of vehicle that you saw, but we understand and hear your concerns about idling. I'm not sure that it's something that falls under our jurisdiction, but certainly we can all think about that as we move and work with our other positions.
Okay, good. Yeah, I would definitely like to see the county, before awarding monies for outside contractors, to work into a space that lets them know that we are really, you know, particular about our climate and you know, the diamonds that we have here, the diamonds in the rough, the redwoods, and the people really need to see that these large companies like PG&E and that are operating in our community have some respect for our environment. And I think an anti-idling policy is a great first start.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you. Item number 3 is other business. There is none. Item number 4, the consent calendar. 4A, the July regular meeting summary. 4B, the July 2024 claims and financial report. 4C, August 24 claims and financial report. We have a letter on SB 1209 and a letter supporting Reconnecting Communities grant application for the city of Ukiah, and also CPA's proposal to prepare the 23-24 audit. I would be looking for either an item to have questions or comments, or for a motion to approve the entire consent calendar. Commissioner Gonzalez?
Just wanted, as far as the meeting summary, they misspelled my last name again, but that's it.
Move approval.
Is there a second? Thank you. Roll call, please.
Thank you. Commissioner Horsley?
Yes.
Commissioner McGordy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kristen? Yes. Commissioner Crane?
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Yes.
And Chair Mulhern?
Yes. We do not have any public hearings today, so we'll move into our workshop items. Item 6A is the Caspar South Water District Municipal Service Review and Sphere of Influence update. So during this workshop, I'm going to let, not sure who's taking the lead. Director Hinman, if it's you, or
Yes, I will this morning. Thank you.
please go ahead.
I want to also, just before I get started, let you know that we have 2 members of the Caspar South Water District Board attending by Zoom today. So this is the second MSR and Sphere update for the Caspar South Water District. Today is the workshop, so no action will be taken. As a reminder, a municipal service review is a study of a local agency's governance and operations, and provides an inventory and analysis of the general services, agency services, including capacity, financial ability, the accountability, and anticipated growth. Caspar South Water District was formed in April of 1978. It is a single service provider providing wastewater treatment and disposal services. The district boundary is coterminous with the Caspar South subdivision, which consists of 105 acres and 107 lots. Caspar South Water District and the subdivision is located between the town of Mendocino and Fort Bragg. They provide service to approximately 75 of the 107 lots, which consists of 62 to 185 customers depending on the season. This is a map of the subdivision and the district boundaries. You can see there are state parks on either side of it. The picture of their a map of their facilities. The red is a parcel that contains the community leach field, and the wastewater treatment plant is out on the point here. There are a number of regional providers in the area. To the north is the city of Fort Bragg, which provides water and sewer service. The Mendocino City Community Services District to the south provides sewer. The area is served by the Mendocino Fire Protection District for fire and emergency response services. And coterminous with the district boundaries is the Caspar South Service Company, which is a privately owned water company. This is south of the district. There's Point Cabrillo, Highlands. These are all privately owned water providers. Seafair Road and Water Company and the Shorelands Road and Water Company. The district is a small service provider. The board president volunteers as the general manager. They do have contract staffing of a part-time plant operator. And they have accounting services, and once a year they have a septic service company that comes and does disposal services for them. They do provide collection and wastewater treatment. Their treatment capacity of their facility is about 16,000 gallons per day, and they have a community leach field as their disposal system. The sphere of influence, which is the plan for the probable future boundary and service area of an agency, was last adopted by the Commission in 2015, and it is coterminous with the district boundaries. With this service review, there's no proposed changes to the sphere of influence, and the district is in welcome review and discussion and requested revisions on this draft study. No formal action will be taken today. In the future, we will schedule a public hearing for formal consideration by the Commission, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners with questions, I have Commissioner Horsley and Commissioner Gonzalez.
I mainly have comments, but I do have a couple questions. Are there any other sanitation districts that you know of in Mendocino County that have a leach field like this?
We do have another, the Elk CSD has recently purchased a lot that has a community leach field on it. And so they are in the process of, they have an application with LAFCO to activate powers to provide that service. I believe that's the only other one that
It's pretty unique, and it looks like they're running it efficiently. I don't see that there's been a lot of, there was some over water amounts, but otherwise it looks like it's working perfectly well, which is amazing, great. The governing board, I noticed that it is, you just have to be a property owner. You don't have to live there, which I think is quite, makes a lot of sense, because some of the others had such a problem with trying to find people that were willing to be on the board, and they didn't live there. So I think I was really impressed by this whole report. They really seem to, if they have problems, they address them, and they're keeping things up as they go. I just think that's, it's so refreshing to read that on one of these little communities. And I also want to recommend, or I should say how much I appreciate LAFCO's staff's responses. Like they're saying strategic plan can wait when they have more resources. Same with the consolidation issues and so forth. They're not saying, oh, they should do this. It's like when they have more resources and time and money, they can look at those things. But the capital improvement program, the rate study, the really important things that they can use right now are being recommended. So I just want to, whoever did those recommendations, I just want to say that I really appreciate that they're being that considerate of the situation. Also, there's nothing there about the district's savings account or bank account. They talk about that they have enough money to continue with what they've been doing. Is that, I don't need to know the amount, but I guess the LAFCO staff feels that there's enough in reserve, because there was no real like balance sheet or anything in here. So you felt that there was enough in the reserves that they can handle situations in the, at least the immediate future?
One of the last things we were waiting for is they were in the process of completing their most recent audits.
Okay.
And so they'll be providing that information. But if you'd like to ask the question of their board members, they are available.
I guess that would be my only question of them is there enough in their account, or we can wait for the audit? I'm assuming it'd be completed by the time we go to a public hearing?
I believe it's nearly done, so that would be the hope, yes.
Okay. If they feel comfortable answering that, fine. If not, we can wait. Thank you.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Yeah, I agree with what Commissioner Horsley said as far as the waiting on the important things, because I thought the capital improvement plan to me was kind of really important, just because our balance sheet may be good because we've held off all this work we need to get done. So I was real curious about that. And next question I had was for you or for board members present, but I noticed they're meeting remotely. Is that allowed still? I think they had on their website that because of COVID, they're still meeting. I thought that we all had to come back. Question.
I believe you're correct that we have to, local governments are supposed to be meeting in person. Yeah.
It had on their minutes when I got on the website and read their agendas that basically they're going to be meeting remotely. So I saw that.
We can call that out. Thank you.
Commissioner McGordy.
Solids, and I just wondered if they what they do with them. Is that there's some reference to hauling? Is that what that is about? Is that they go through a drying process and once a year haul the biosolids away, or what happens?
Correct. They have a dosing chamber that before it goes to the leach field, and then they do the hauling once a year.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Commissioner Christian.
Here, I noticed that in March of 24 and March of 8, numbers were much higher than the other months. Do we know why that was the case? I mean, they're still below their limits, but it just seemed to be high for those months.
I believe that correlates to the precipitation events and the infiltration and inflow.
Maybe rain or something? Huh. On recommendations, it makes sense for us to recommend that they look to the State Water Board to try to find money to bring in those 27 systems that are below grade. I mean, it seems like it's a pumping issue, right? You could pump the effluent up to where it's being processed, and so maybe the State Water Board would give them funding. Oh, but there are 27 that are not included, according to the report. So maybe we could recommend that. I don't know if that's within our purview, but.
Thank you.
Commissioner Crane? Please go ahead.
I was on the impression that everything that was gravity to a pump or directly to something else, because if there's only one leach field, it's got to be going somewhere for all those years. But maybe they are eligible for some funds to improve the system.
Correct, and maybe, yeah.
And it would be, that was something that I'd noticed as well about the spike. Perhaps it's intrusion and perhaps it's something else. But if it's intrusion, then maybe they could find some funds to help resolve that, because those problems tend to get worse over time. And the amount that they are set up to handle those spikes are right there in terms of the limit of capacity. So.
Thank you. We can look into that a little bit further and work with the district on that. Thank you.
We do have another question from Board Member McGordy, and then I'd like to hear from the board members that are online.
Yeah, I did notice in reading the report that there was a reference to capacity in the leach field, and that they had checked with an engineer that said things were adequate, that there was land adjacent that they could acquire, but the feeling was it wasn't necessary. So the peak is what you were concerned about. Yeah.
And my question was related to the, it said in the report, illegally piped rooftop and stormwater drains, and what they're doing to try to remedy that situation, or what other agencies they're working with, like county code enforcement. I'm not sure. So if we could have those board members come in and see if we could answer just a couple of questions as we do the workshop.
This is Dan Keene. I'm the secretary on the board, and my colleague, my neighbor, Steve McCormick, president, is also there. Aaron, there he goes. He unmuted. We're the two longest serving members on the board, and that's very relative. I've been on the board about 4 years. I think Steve, maybe a couple of years. We have just added a third member. We had somebody leave, moved out of the neighborhood. So we barely have a quorum, and that's been a constant issue for years with this district. There was even a period of time historically where there was not a quorum, and so we do struggle with that. And the relevance of that is that with that, the few number of folks that we have on the board, and the fact that we're all volunteers, is some of the things that we would normally do didn't happen as quickly as they probably should have. One thing I want to note, and Steve, please feel free to jump in here and interrupt me. The audit is not underway yet, so it is not imminent. It is something we're going to embark on this year. We do have monthly audit reports that come from our there we go. We do have audit reports that come from our accountant, and we review those every month. And we did share those with LAFCO staff. Our most recent report, we had about $331,000 in the bank, either between checking, savings, or a CD. So we do feel like for our district, that's probably enough. But we are starting to look at our rate setting process to see if we need to increase that, particularly given the infrastructure needs. Let's see, you're going to have to help us out, Uma, with the questions that I did not take notes as I was listening.
Or one of the questions was about the peak discharge and whether there was adequate capacity.
Steve, you want to tackle that one?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me? And now you can see me. All right. Hi, folks. Steve McCormick, president of the Caspar South Water District. Yeah, I appreciate the comments. It's pretty clear that you guys did some reading beforehand, and you caught those things that we have noticed as well. I can add some flavor and some background to that issue. In 2015, we conducted studies, and we did have infiltration back then, and pretty bad a fair amount of infiltration. And over the years, with capital money, improved the piping system, and that infiltration pretty much went away. There are still some older pipe distribution lines in our community, but in terms of what we see, like correlation of flow with rain results, we don't see that, except for these are exceptions, the two that you they're noticing. We believe, so let me just state, these are just theories right now because it's a work in progress. We believe it is one homeowner that's got a system that the way his land is oriented, he basically, with high rainfall, his driveway turns into a swimming pool. And then we believe that runoff is going into our system. So we've had pretty rainy years the last couple of years, and we've had lots of rain outside these anomalies. So it's not classic infiltration. Anyway, so we're tracking it down, and we've got everyone aware of it. And the homeowner is an absentee homeowner, so communication is difficult. So that's our theory on what's happening there, but we have yet to prove we have yet to prove it. And outside of that, yeah, like I say, lots of rain in the last couple of seasons and not a correlation with flow except for these anomalies. And I guess the other comment that we'll take to heart, if we need to meet in person again, we can easily accommodate that. It's just been easier for us.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be doing that going forward. Somebody's driveway.
Used to be the library.
The other question was Chair Mulhern regarding stormwater.
Well, I'm wondering if you answered that question by, it says properties with illegally piped rooftop and stormwater drains. Is that one home, or is that multiple homes? And are you working with county planning and building or code enforcement to try to resolve those?
We believe, so that's kind of news to me. We understand that issue, and we believe that doesn't exist right now.
Okay.
Like I say, it's still an open issue on these two anomalies, but we believe that is not the case, because that should be a consistent rainfall issue whenever we get a lot of rain, and it's only these once a year things. And we, this owner has a pump, and he's supposed to be pumping his swimming pool back onto his own landscaping, and if that pump doesn't work, is where we think it's going into the sewer system. So we believe that that's not happening right now. We don't think there's a house that's hooked up in such a way.
And I would add, that from the history that I've reviewed, prior to us fixing the infiltration issues, that was a theory that well, we need to go through and do smoke testing and figure out who's got their rain gutters connected up to the sewer system. But since we've corrected the infiltration, and that was a lot of work over maybe 3 or 4 years, where we replaced a lot of asbestos concrete pipe with PVC, and our numbers went way down. And we actually think now that was probably the bigger issue, was that we have a high water table in parts of the district, and there was just a lot of infiltration, and then it would happen all year long because the water table is high. So that now that that's fixed, we don't think that's as urgent an issue, and particularly since most of the time our numbers are well, below our permit capacity, permit allowance.
Okay. Thank you. It seems as though all of the commissioners' questions have been answered. Thank you for joining us this morning. And our next steps, Uma, we'll hear this as a for approval public hearing at our next meeting?
I believe so,
in
yes.
October? Okay. I do want to make sure that there's no members of the public in Ukiah. Are there any members on Zoom that wish to comment on this item? Any hands raised or? No?
None.
Okay.
If I could just add that I want to extend gratitude to both Dan and Steve for their assistance. There's been a lot of back and forth with the district, and they've been very forthcoming with information. So thank you very much.
Great.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And I just want to say again, it was an excellent report. Thank you.
Thank you.
I always thought you had to live to run for office in these things, so I didn't realize you could organize it that way. Kind of learned something today.
Most districts are registered voter districts, and in some cases we have some landowner districts as well. It might be an informational item at a future meeting, the differences between the two.
That's a good idea.
It just makes so much sense when you have a situation like this for people to be able to come in by Zoom. I mean, it just seems like the state would recognize, they're not used to maybe rural situations like we have, but it just makes so much sense. And there should be, in my opinion, there should be some special circumstance legislation to allow for that, for something like this.
Okay. Thank you for the presentation, and we'll move on to item number 7A, the LAFCO response to the grand jury report, Mendocino Coast Healthcare District, sick but returning to health. The executive committee discussed this report with EO Hinman, and we've prepared a draft response to the grand jury. So hopefully you've all had time to read that, and I'd like to see if you have any questions or additional concerns. Commissioner Horsley?
I very much agree with one of the statements in the report that we have people that have been waiting for months, if not years, for an MSR. So pushing this group ahead of all of them doesn't sit well with me. I understand there may be reasons or whatever.
Yeah, I think the response clearly stated that we had already begun our work plan for this year, and we're well on our way and would like to continue with that. There is an opportunity, if the healthcare district is able to hire a consultant to continue to move it forward, then that's an option that can happen as well. Are there any other Commissioner Christian?
Did the council take a look at this? I mean, given that it's a grand jury, I was just wondering.
Yes, our counsel Birch has reviewed it, both the first draft and the draft that's before you today.
The question I had is, I think you're proposing to have this done by August 25. Is that realistic? Do we have the, I guess if we get an outside consultant to help us with it, there's.
Correct. I think that would be the most surefire way to get it done by August of next
year. Okay.
Are you expecting the district to pay for the consultant?
There is the possibility, if the district were willing to fund the study, then that we would be able to move it along much faster. Otherwise, we would have to look at our work plan and the work plan budget that was adopted for this fiscal year, come up with a plan for either reprioritizing the studies that we have scheduled or some other way to fund.
I would like to, I'd like to see, is anybody online from the healthcare district? Because I'd like to invite them in, make sure that they're able to answer any questions. Commissioner McGorty, did you have a question? Comment?
Just real quick on, since I know one of the people on the board, my wife, I know this is very, very complex in terms of the financial arrangements that they have with Adventist Health. And I think that there's not a lot of clarity even in that arrangement. So I'm not sure what we'd be stepping into if we get involved with an MSR with them. And it seems that since they've taken on the services of regional government services to assist them, that things are getting better. And I'm just kind of wondering if we want to wait a little bit until more clarity comes out from some of their own internal findings before we step in to get actively involved in a review.
Thank you. I do see that we have Kathy Wiley, who represents the Mendocino Coast Health Care District, on the Zoom. So Kathy, if you'd like to respond to any of the questions or the feedback from the commissioners.
Yes, if I could figure out how to unmute.
You're unmuted. We can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Supervisor McGurty. Exactly. We are, as you've probably seen in our response, we've cleaned up quite a bit of the issues that were pointed out in the grand jury report. And this board, the Mendocino Coast Healthcare District, will be taking up their response today at 3 p.m. And happy to get a copy of that to UMA. And UMA and I have emailed back and forth about plans to get to the auditor about a change in the billing so that we'll be paying a fair share. And happy to answer any questions.
I think one of the things that was discussed during the executive committee was the existing work plan for LAFCO, and that this would fall into a later process unless the district were able to take on hiring a consultant and to fund that. And would that be something that you're speaking with your board about today, or is that something they've already considered?
They haven't had a formal report, so that will go in my report today to the board. And I don't know how, there's no action about that yet. That might perhaps be a September 26th regular board meeting action item.
Okay. Commissioner Horsley, did you have a question?
Yes, Kathy, I just wanted to ask you about something you said. Are you saying that you are thinking that the hospital can start paying into the LAFCO fund now, or you just have to wait for the audit to even know that?
Well, so the problem has been that the prior boards neglected the audit work. And so we have 4 years of unaudited finances. We have money in the bank, but we don't have audits. So we're in RGS, and our newly hired CFO, Wayne Allen, who actually used to run the hospital. We're trying to get the audits completed. And so I can't really answer that in fully, but I can tell you that the board right now has $20 million in assets in the bank.
Okay, that's very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not seeing any additional questions, and we are under a timeline for submitting to our response, so I think we do need a motion and, oh, yes, Commissioner Gonzalez.
I would like to make the motion. Letter is presented.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Crane?
Aye.
Commissioner Kristen? Commissioner McGordy?
Yes.
Commissioner Horsley?
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Yes.
And Chair Mulhern?
Yes. Thank you, everyone. We are now on item 7B, the CALAFCO business and selection of voting delegate for the CALAFCO Board of Directors election. And Director Hinman, did you want to present this one?
Thank you. The board nominations for the CALAFCO board include a city member and a public member. The city member has been Blake Inscore from Del Norte LAFCO, and they will not be running again. Josh Sussman is the Nevada County incumbent for the public member, and I have not heard if he will be running again. But if we have a nomination we would like to put forward, then the deadline is September 16th, so we would need indication today. The second part of this is the CALAFCO bylaws require a voting delegate from each LAFCO to participate in the regional caucuses and election of the CALAFCO board members, which are held during the annual conference, which will be October 17th this year. The delegates may be either commissioners or staff, and CALAFCO requests an alternate to be designated as well in case the voting delegate is not able to attend. Finally, attached to this item is a statement from Senator Cortese on SB 1209, which is the CALAFCO-sponsored indemnification legislation. Counties and cities already have the ability to require indemnification, and this would grant LAFCO the same authority. So I'm happy to answer questions, and then before you today is if a board nomination is desired by the commission. Today, we request that that be put forward, and also identification of the voting delegate and an alternate.
Okay, let's go ahead and start with step one. Are there any commissioners that have a specific board member that they'd like to nominate for CALAFCO? And if not, we'll move on to who will be our voting delegate for whomever is presented throughout the state. Okay, seeing none. I will go ahead. So we do have commissioners attending, I believe, and the staff. So you'll be there as well.
Correct. I will be attending, and we have Commissioners Horsley and Gonzalez and Kristen and Roden attending.
Okay. So I would sort of ask the commissioners that are attending if you'd prefer that Uma does the voting, or if one of you would like to take it on. Commissioner Gonzalez?
I don't mind doing it, but I would prefer that
Delegate Uma.
Delegate Uma as the alternate, because I've seen at some of these things where some of our commissioners drop out. I know she'll definitely be going, and having her go would probably be. But if someone else wants to be the voting member, then by all means.
Okay.
As the alternate.
So you'd be the alternate?
That makes sense.
Yes, I'm hearing Gonzalez and Uma. Commissioner McGordy?
I nominate Commissioner Horsley, since I know she's trustworthy, and you're going to the meeting, is that?
Yes, I'm going to meetings. But does Uma feel that she can do it, or that she's available to do it?
What's typical of LAFCOs is they designate a commissioner who is attending as the voting delegate, and then a staff member as the alternate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I think that that's what Commissioner Gonzalez said. He would be the board member that could, and then we could have Uma as the.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that you volunteered.
Yeah.
I'm very happy if you volunteer.
Oh, okay.
I think that's a second from McGordy.
That's a second.
Are there any members of the public on Zoom that wish to speak? We don't have any members of the public in Ukiah.
None online.
Okay, if we have roll call, please.
Commissioner Crane?
Aye.
Commissioner Kristen?
Aye.
Commissioner McGordy?
Yes?
Commissioner Horsley?
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Yes.
Chair Mulhern?
Yes. Thank you, commissioners, and good luck. Item 8A, the work plan and current and future proposals. Yohaman, you get so much of this next piece. Is there anything that you need to add?
The only thing we'd like to add is that we are trying to get the Western Hills application to public hearing for October 7th. So look for that. We are getting together the public noticing piece of that this week, and have been meeting with city staff to move that forward. We have initiated the process for request for information for the municipal service reviews for 4 water districts: the Potter Valley Irrigation District, Laytonville County Water District, Round Valley County Water District, and the Russian River Flood Control District. So we have started that process, and we have held our initial meeting with Potter Valley Irrigation District. We are waiting for responses on our request for information to Irish Beach Water District and the Elk County Water District. It has been several months now in some cases, so we are trying to push them to move that along so that we can finish up the coastal studies. We are working with the Westport County Water District on the administrative draft, and hope that one will be coming forward in the coming months. And unless there are questions, that's all I have.
I think Commissioner Horsley has a question.
Just one, the Irish Beach Water District, have you been able to actually contact somebody, or they just haven't responded?
I was finally able to reach someone, their general manager, who is the general manager for Elk County Water District as well. So I have been in contact, and they said they are working on it.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm not seeing any additional commissioner questions. So we do not have item 8B. I don't believe there was any additional correspondence received. And then item 8C is the CALAFCO Business and Legislative Report.
I think that we've covered it. I can just say that on SB 1209, it is on the governor's desk for consideration, and he now has 30 days. I think it's probably a little less than that now, but he has 30 days to sign or veto it. So hopefully that will be moving forward. And then just a reminder that the CALAFCO conference is October 16th to 18th, and all of our hotel reservations and registrations have been completed, so I think we're all set to go.
Okay, thank you for that. Any additional executive officers report to add?
A couple of items. We do have our special district vacancy that has been advertised amongst the special districts, And the deadline for nominations is September 11th. Have not received any yet. If not sure what, we'll have to extend that most likely. We have finally received an application for the alternate public member vacancy, and we will be bringing that forward to the commission at our next regular meeting.
Okay. Any committee reports? Seeing none. Commissioner reports, comments, or questions? Commissioner McCordy.
Before the meeting, I talked briefly with Executive Director Uma, and I was thinking it would be a really great idea to have kind of like a summary cheat sheet of all of the different water districts that we've reviewed on the coast this year, since I'm kind of interested in water issues, with just kind of a status of where they stand financially and you know, the relative health of the system and its age. And the reasoning for that is because I've been very interested in the USDA's rural loan and grant program that they have, that are the county's economic development team is looking at, to try to find assistance for some of our organizations within Mendocino County. And I know some of these, some of the districts need some help financially, and it seems like it would be a good idea if we had eyes on it, we knew who they were, and just had a summary of where we stand with water development in Mendocino County, both as water supply and also water wastewater treatment, because I think it's something that is very decentralized, and I think that eventually Mendocino County's got to take a more active role in assisting people, because as these systems age and legal requirements go up for the quality of water that both is consumed by people and sent out as wastewater, we need to be on top of it, and there needs to be some sort of a organized response from Mendocino County government. So before I sent, you know, I made the suggestion to Uma, but I thought it's something the board should, since it's going to involve some work, that probably the board should weigh in on. And the question for Uma is, this look like a lot of work, or is this something that could be done fairly quickly? And what I have in mind is something that's fairly simple. It's just a quick reference sheet as to where they stand financially, what their infrastructure looks like, you know, their governance, things like that.
I think we can pull this together fairly easily, since we've been studying the water districts already. We have that information fairly current for most of the districts. I think it would be, I don't think it would be too much of an effort on staff's part.
And then it would represent a summary report for all the work that we've done this year. So it's a, you know, kind of a at a glance kind of information sheet. And I just wondered how the rest of you feel about that, if you think it's something worth doing.
I will just say that if Uma doesn't think it's going to take a lot of extra time and something she could put together, I'm sure that'd be helpful for the commissioners to be able to have. And I'm not seeing any disagreement. Commissioner Horsley?
That was my question. Do you have the information already? It sounds like most of them.
Or I would say probably half. We have that information from the work we've done in the coastal districts, and we are gathering that information for the inland district, so we'll need to be doing that outreach anyway.
I would only recommend doing the sheet for things we've completed. I wouldn't try to go into things that are works in progress, and once they've been finished, then we could add it to the sheet, is my thinking.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gonzalez.
I was going to say that one of the values is that I get it, the bigger cities, the bigger districts, think that they're probably here to stay, but some of these small little districts, seems like until I heard today that you don't have to live there for some of these districts the way they were formed, that a lot of them are struggling to keep board members. Even that one was struggling, Caspar was struggling to keep that. And I foresee that as our population ages in this county, the county may have to take a more active role and maybe even take over some of these. That's just my thought. So it's a good tool, and I agree with Commissioner Horsley as we go along, not to reinvent the wheel, but we should have a movie that could be shared out there.
Thank you.
Thank you. And my comment was related to the ballot for November 5th, because so often these smaller districts, water districts, sewer districts, either don't have people running for the position or may have people that may not have a lot of qualifications for certain positions. So it's just important that as we're out talking to community members, we really talk about the importance of these boards and the roles that they play. Even small districts where you only have a couple of board members, it really is. Time is limited for everybody, but it's important that people step up for those positions. And there are a couple of TOT measures that'll be on the ballot, local TOT measures, as well as a measure for the city of Point Arena, which might be I believe it's the final city to have a measure that supports its infrastructure systems. So those are important things for the community and the districts and these commissioners to keep an eye on as we move into November and share that information with people. And I'm not seeing any additional pins or questions, so I think we can adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, alternates.